The other day, the ABC's Stan Grant wrote what could be one of the most bizarre articles I've ever read. On Sunday, Stan wrote an article titled, "To understand China, you need to understand whiteness, yet it's missing from the conversation," unquote. He wrote, "It's not possible to understand China without understanding race and racism, specifically without understanding whiteness." He said, in some ways, Xi's China may represent the end of whiteness, except that the Chinese Communist Party itself mirrors whiteness, he said. He went on, "If whiteness is power, Xi Jinping is its champion, the continuation of white power in darker skin," unquote. First of all, how does the Chinese Communist Party mirror whiteness? The CCP is not a democracy. They've got no respect for human rights. They don't respect the rule of law. They're a one-party state. Stan, name one white country around the world that has a similar system of government. You see, white people were the first to end slavery. White people were the first to take to immigrants en masse. White people were the first to pass racial discrimination laws. White people were the first to go to war to protect the rights of ethnic and religious minorities. White people were the first to give women rights and acknowledge and empower Indigenous people. Stan, what are you talking about? Stan's next suggestion is that nationalism is a white phenomenon. I'm gobsmacked. Stan, are you telling me that Japan wasn't an ethnic nationalist state under the rule of Emperor Hirohito? He's not white. Stan, are you telling me that India isn't a nationalist state under the rule of the BJP party? They're not white. Stan, are you telling me that Libya, Iran, Saudi Arabia aren't nationalist states? They're not white, but you say nationalism is a white phenomenon. How about Armenia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia? All these have gone through or are going through periods of ethnic nationalism, and none of them are white. Stan, you can't make grand assertions like this on the taxpayer's dime. By the way, Stan, there is nothing wrong with being white. You went to Australia's most prestigious universities. You started out work at the Canberra Times, then Macquarie Radio, then the Seven Network, then the ABC. You worked for the World Bank, CNN, Sky News. You've achieved significant distinctions. And you're now back at the ABC. You're the current Professor of Global Affairs at Griffith University. You occupy the Vice-Chancellor's chair of Australian Indigenous Belonging at Charles Sturt University. Stan, aren't all these organisations white, to use your terminology? Are they therefore racist? If so, how have you been so successful as an Indigenous Australian? Stan, give us some credit and stop using race to divide people. It's cheap, it's untrue, and I suspect the vast majority of ethnic minorities in Australia agree with me.